Gaz. I still remember the sound, not the words, not the tears, just the soft vibration of a phone sitting on the kitchen counter. Funny how one small sound can split your life into two parts. Gaz. The life you believed was real, and the life that was waiting to destroy everything you thought you knew. Have you ever trusted someone so completely that you never imagined checking their stories? Gaz. Never questioned their late nights? Never wondered why they suddenly smiled at their phone? That was me. If someone had asked me that morning whether I trusted Daniel, Gaz, I would have smiled without thinking, with my whole heart. Looking back now, those 4 words hurt more than anything else, because by the time the sun came up the next day, Gaz, I realized I had been loving a stranger. It started like every other Friday. I left work earlier than usual, because Daniel texted me saying he had an important meeting that would run late. Gaz. I didn't think much about it. His job had always been demanding, and I had learned to support him instead of questioning every schedule change. On my way home, I stopped at his favorite bakery, Gaz. They had just finished baking fresh cinnamon rolls. The smell filled the entire shop. I smiled. He'll love these, I whispered to myself. Gaz. I even bought his favorite coffee from the little cafe across the street. It felt like one of those quiet evenings couples dream about. Dinner, movies, talking about our future. Gaz. I had no idea that future was already falling apart. When I reached home, the apartment was silent. I placed the coffee on the counter before realizing it was getting cold. Gaz. Daniel had forgotten his laptop. That surprised me. He never forgot his laptop. A few minutes later, my phone rang. It was him. Hey, he said quickly. Did I leave my laptop? Yeah. Gaz, I really need it. I can bring it. No. His answer came too fast. I mean, don't worry about it. I'll pick it up later. For the first time, something felt strange. It wasn't what he said, Gaz. It was how he said it. Nervous, almost scared. I tried to ignore the feeling. We all have stressful days, at least. That's what I kept telling myself. I reheated dinner. I turned on the television. Gaz. I waited. Hours passed. The food became cold again. The coffee was untouched. Around 9 o'clock, I decided to charge his laptop before he came home. As I plugged it in, his phone, which he had also forgotten, buzzed on the counter. One message. Just one. Normally I would never look. Trust had never required proof. But the screen lit up before it locked. One sentence. Gaz. I missed tonight already. My stomach tightened. Maybe it was a coworker. Maybe someone sent it by mistake. Maybe. Funny how our minds fight to protect the people we love. Gaz. I stared at the screen for what felt like forever. Another message appeared. She still doesn't know, does she? The room suddenly felt smaller. My heartbeat echoed louder than the television. Gaz. I picked up the phone with shaking hands. The passcode, I knew it. He had never hidden it from me, or maybe he never expected I'd need it. The screen unlocked. I wish it hadn't. Gaz. There were hundreds of messages, photos, plans, inside jokes, promises, conversations stretching back for months. Every excuse, every late meeting, every cancelled dinner, every business trip. Gaz. Every moment I defended him. It was all there. Every lie had been carefully written while I believed every single word. I couldn't breathe. Gaz. I kept scrolling even though every message hurt more than the last. She knew about me. That hurt almost as much as his betrayal. She knew he was in a relationship. She knew we lived together. Gaz. She even joked about how easy it was to fool me. I stopped reading. I couldn't. My hands were shaking so badly that I nearly dropped the phone. The apartment suddenly felt unfamiliar. Gaz. The pictures on the wall. The couch we picked together. The Ring catalogue sitting on the coffee table. Everything reminded me of a future that no longer existed. Gaz. I looked around and asked myself one question. Was any of it real? I wanted to scream. I wanted answers. Instead, I sat in complete silence. Jazz. Sometimes silence hurts more than shouting. Minutes later, my best friend Mia called. The moment I heard her voice, I broke. I couldn't even finish my first sentence before tears filled my eyes. Jazz. She rushed over immediately. When she walked inside, she didn't ask questions. She simply hugged me. For several minutes, neither of us spoke. Then I handed her the phone. She read a few messages. Jazz. Her expression changed instantly. She slowly looked up at me. "I'm so sorry." Those 4 words confirmed what I had been trying to deny. It wasn't a misunderstanding. It wasn't one bad decision. Jazz. It wasn't one mistake. It was a second life. A life carefully hidden behind smiles, promises, and "I love you." Around midnight, headlights appeared outside the apartment. Daniel was home. Jazz. I heard his keys. The familiar sound that used to make me happy now filled me with dread. He walked inside smiling. "Sorry I'm late." Then he noticed Mia. Then he noticed the phone in my hand. Jazz. His smile disappeared. For a long moment, no one spoke. He looked at me, then at the phone, then back at me. His face turned pale. I can explain. Those words. Jazz. The same words almost every betrayed person hears. I didn't yell. I didn't throw anything. I simply asked one question. "How long?" He lowered his eyes. Seconds passed. Finally, "Jazz." He whispered the answer. "Almost a year. A year. 365 days of lies, birthdays, anniversaries, vacations, family dinners, dreams about marriage. Every memory suddenly felt fake." Jazz. I felt something inside me break, not loudly, quickly, like glass cracking under too much pressure. He stepped closer. It didn't mean anything. I laughed, not because it was funny, Jazz, because it was unbelievable. A year, and it meant nothing. He reached for my hand. I stepped back. That tiny movement said everything my heart couldn't. For the first time since we met, Jazz, I didn't recognize the man standing in front of me. He kept talking. I made mistakes. I was confused. I never wanted to hurt you. But his words sounded empty, because actions always speak louder, Jazz. Then he said something I will never forget. "I know you'll forgive me." He actually believed that, maybe because I had always been patient, always understanding, always willing to fix problems. Jazz. He thought this would be another one. He had no idea that the woman standing in front of him was already changing. I quietly walked into the bedroom. He followed. "Please, let's talk, Jazz." Instead of answering, I opened the closet. I took out a suitcase. He froze. "Wait, what are you doing?" I looked straight into his eyes. My tears had stopped. My voice was calm. "So tonight, Jazz, I finally stopped believing your lies." The room fell silent. He realized something had changed, not just our relationship, me, because heartbreak can destroy you, Jazz, or it can introduce you to the strongest version of yourself. And although Daniel couldn't see it yet, Jazz, the woman walking away that night would one day become the reason he questioned every decision he had ever made. But he wasn't ready for that story. Neither was I, Jazz. The hardest part about betrayal isn't discovering the lie. It's realizing that your happiest memories now come with questions. After I left our apartment that night, I stayed at Mia's place. I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, another memory appeared. A birthday, a vacation, a lazy Sunday morning. Moments I had always called the best days of my life, Jazz. Now I wondered how many of those smiles had been real. By sunrise, I wasn't crying anymore. I was remembering, because before the lies, there was a love story I truly believed in, Jazz. It all started 4 years earlier. I wasn't looking for love. Life was simple back then. I worked long hours at a small marketing company, rented a tiny apartment, Jazz, and spent weekends reading books or meeting Mia for coffee. I wasn't lonely. I was just focused on building a future. Then one rainy Tuesday afternoon, everything changed, Jazz. I had stopped at a neighborhood cafe after work. The rain outside was so heavy that almost every table was taken. There was only one empty chair left, across from a man I'd never seen before, Gaz. He looked up from his laptop and smiled. "You can have the seat," he said. "I promise I don't bite." I laughed. "Good. I left my superhero cape at home." He laughed too. It was such a simple moment. Gaz. No dramatic music, no fireworks. Just two strangers trying to stay dry. His name was Daniel. We talked for nearly an hour. Books, movies, travel dreams, favorite foods. It felt surprisingly easy. Gaz. When the rain finally stopped, he smiled and asked, "Would it be strange if I asked for your number?" I looked at him for a second. Normally, I would have said no, but something about him felt safe, so I smiled. "I was hoping you'd ask. That one decision changed my entire life, or at least I thought it had." Our first date wasn't expensive. We walked through a city park, shared ice cream, Gaz, and talked until the streetlights came on. Daniel wasn't trying to impress me with money or fancy places. He listened, really listened. When I spoke, he paid attention. When I laughed, he laughed too, Gaz. When I shared my dreams, he remembered every detail. It felt different from every relationship I'd had before. A few weeks later, Mia met him for the first time. She pulled me aside afterward. "He seems nice." "He is. You really like him?" I smiled. "I think I do." She looked back at Daniel, who was helping an elderly couple carry grocery bags to their car. Gaz. He definitely knows how to make a good first impression. At the time, I thought she was complimenting him. Years later, I'd remember those words differently. A good first impression, Gaz. Sometimes that's exactly what people want you to see. Months passed, Daniel became part of my everyday life. Morning texts, lunch surprises, late night phone calls, weekend road trips, Gaz. Everything felt natural. He never forgot birthdays. He always remembered the little things. If I mentioned my favorite chocolate once, he'd buy it weeks later without being reminded. Gaz. If I had a stressful day at work, he'd show up with dinner. He made love feel effortless. Looking back now, Gaz. I wonder if some people become experts at making others feel special because they're hiding something else. But back then, I simply believed I had found the right person. A year into our relationship, Gaz. We moved into our first apartment together. It wasn't perfect. The kitchen was tiny. The bedroom window refused to close properly during winter. The walls needed repainting. But to us, Gaz, it felt like a palace. We spent weekends putting together furniture we barely knew how to build. Half the shelves ended up crooked. The dining table took 6 hours instead of 1. Gaz. We laughed through every mistake. One evening, while sitting on the living room floor surrounded by unopened boxes, Daniel wrapped his arm around me. "This place isn't much yet." I smiled. "Gaz. It doesn't have to be." "Why? Because you're here." He kissed my forehead. "I promise I'll always give you a reason to smile." At the time, I believed every word. Gaz. Life slowly settled into a comfortable routine. We both worked hard. We saved money. We talked about buying a house someday. Sometimes we'd walk through neighborhoods, pointing at homes we liked. "Gaz, I want a porch," I would say. "And I want a dog." "Just one?" He laughed. "Maybe 2. Those conversations made the future feel real. Gaz. I even started looking at engagement rings online. Not because I expected one immediately, but because I genuinely believed we were heading in that direction. Everything seemed to fit. Gaz. At least from the outside. The first warning sign appeared so quietly that I barely noticed it. Daniel started keeping his phone face down. It seemed harmless. When I asked about it once, he laughed. "Gaz, I don't want work emails ruining dinner." That sounded reasonable, so I never questioned it. A few months later, he started working later than usual. Big project. Important client, new responsibilities. Gaz. Every explanation made sense. Whenever I thanked him for working so hard for our future, He'd smile and say, "I'm doing it for us." I believed him, because trust doesn't usually disappear overnight. As it fades one excuse at a time. Then there were the cancelled plans, a movie night, a family dinner, a weekend trip we'd been planning for months. Each time something came up. "I'm sorry, Az. I'll make it up to you. Next weekend, I promise." And somehow, he always found the perfect words. Words are powerful, they can comfort, they can inspire, and sometimes they can hide the truth. As Mia noticed changes before I did. One afternoon, while we were shopping, she asked casually, "Is Daniel okay?" "Yeah, why?" "He just seems distracted lately." I shrugged. "Work's been stressful." As she nodded but didn't look convinced. "Maybe." Then she smiled. "I'm probably overthinking it." I smiled back. "I think you are." Today I wish I had asked one more question. "What made you think that?" As sometimes the people outside a relationship see what those inside cannot. Not because they're smarter, because they're not looking through the eyes of love. Another memory returned to me. As one Saturday morning, Daniel was in the shower when his phone rang. The caller ID simply read, "Unknown number." When I mentioned it later, he quickly took the phone from the table. "Wrong number." As he didn't even check. At the time, I found that strange for only a second. Then I forgot about it. Love has a funny way of explaining away the things logic notices. As the months passed, little changes continued. He smiled at his phone more often. He became protective of his laptop. He started taking calls outside. His compliments became less frequent. His hugs felt shorter. As nothing dramatic. Nothing that screamed betrayal. Just tiny cracks. Tiny enough to ignore. Tiny enough to convince yourself you're imagining them. And that's exactly what I did. As the biggest warning sign wasn't something Daniel did. It was something I stopped doing. I stopped asking questions. Not because I didn't care, because I trusted him completely. As I believed that trust meant never doubting the person you love. Now I understand something different. Real trust isn't about ignoring changes. As it's about feeling safe enough to talk honestly when something feels wrong. Silence protects secrets. Communication protects relationships. One evening, almost 6 months before everything fell apart, Daniel looked at me across the dinner table. "You trust me, don't you?" I smiled immediately. "More than anyone." He nodded slowly. "I'm glad." At the time, it sounded like an ordinary conversation. Today, that question echoes differently. Why did he need reassurance? Was he feeling guilty? Was he testing whether I'd discovered anything? Or was he simply trying to quiet the voice inside his own conscience? I'll probably never know. People often ask me if there was one moment when I should have known. One obvious clue. One undeniable sign. The truth is, betrayal rarely announces itself, it arrives quietly. He, inside routine, wrapped in believable excuses, covered by familiar smiles. And that's what makes it so painful. You don't lose trust in one moment. You lose it after realizing how many moments were never what they seemed. Back then, I thought I was building a forever with the man I loved. I had no idea that while I was planning our future, he was already creating a life that didn't include me. And somewhere, without me knowing, the first lie had already been told. The first secret had already been hidden. The first promise had already been broken. I just hadn't discovered it yet. People often ask me what betrayal feels like. Is it anger, sadness, shock? For me, it was confusion, because the hardest part wasn't finding one lie. It was discovering that almost every answer I had trusted had been carefully built on another lie. The morning after I left our apartment, sat quietly in Mia's guest room, staring out the window. The city looked exactly the same. People hurried to work. Cars filled the streets. Coffee shops opened their doors. Life continued as if nothing had happened, but mine had stopped. Gaz. I kept replaying the previous night in my mind. Daniel's pale face, his nervous voice. I can explain, the words echoed again and again. Explain what? How do you explain an entire year of lies, Gaz? How do you explain looking someone in the eyes every day, while living another life behind their back? There wasn't an explanation, there was only the truth. And I had only seen a small part of it, Gaz. Around noon my phone wouldn't stop ringing, Daniel again. And again, 23 missed calls, dozens of text messages. Please answer, I'm sorry, let's talk. You deserve an explanation, Gaz. I made the biggest mistake of my life. I read every message, then I placed the phone face down. Yesterday he had hidden the truth. Today he couldn't stop talking, Gaz. Funny how people find their voice only after their secrets are exposed. Maya walked into the kitchen carrying 2 mugs of coffee. You don't have to answer him. I know, but you want answers, Gaz. I nodded I do. She sat beside me. Just remember, sometimes answers create more pain. At the time I didn't understand what she meant. A few hours later, I would, Gaz. That afternoon I returned to the apartment while Daniel was at work. At least, I assumed he was. I only wanted my clothes and a few personal things. Nothing more. The apartment felt different now, Gaz. Not because anything had changed. Because I had. Every room carried memories. The kitchen where we danced while cooking dinner. The couch where we planned vacations. Gaz. The bedroom where he promised forever. Now every memory had another question attached to it. Was he already lying then? As I packed my clothes, I opened a drawer searching for an old sweater. Instead, Gaz, I found an envelope. Inside were hotel receipts, restaurant bills, weekend reservations. None of them included my name. The dates made my heart sink, Gaz. One receipt matched the weekend Daniel had told me he was attending a business conference. I remembered that weekend perfectly. He had called every evening. I miss you. I wish you were here, Gaz. I can't wait to come home. Every word had sounded sincere. Now I realized. He hadn't been alone. I sat on the floor holding those receipts, Gaz. It felt like someone had taken my memories and rewritten them. Every discovery made the previous lie even bigger. I wondered, how much hadn't I seen? While packing the last box, Gaz, I noticed something else. An old photo album. It was full of pictures from our relationship. Our first vacation, Christmas birthdays, family dinners. I smiled sadly. Then something caught my attention, Gaz. One picture had been removed. Only the empty photo corner remained. It seemed unimportant, but somehow, it wasn't that evening. My phone rang again. This time it wasn't Daniel. It was Ethan, Gaz. One of Daniel's closest friends. I hesitated before answering. Hello. There was silence, then he spoke quietly. I think we should talk. We met at a small park near my office, Gaz. Ethan looked uncomfortable. He kept rubbing his hands together. I don't know where to start. Start with the truth. He looked down. I should have told you months ago. My heart skipped. Gaz. What do you mean? He took a deep breath. I knew something wasn't right. I stared at him. You knew. I didn't know everything. But I knew Daniel wasn't always where he said he was. Your words hit harder than I expected. So everyone knew except me. No, but some people suspected. Suspected. That word hurt almost as much as betrayal itself, because suspicion means people noticed the signs, while I kept defending him. Why didn't you tell me? I asked. Ethan closed his eyes. I tried. When? Twice. I frowned. Gaz. The first time Daniel promised he'd end everything, and the second, he begged me not to destroy your relationship. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. So you protected him, Gaz. I thought I was protecting both of you. No. I shook my head. You protected the lie. I left the park feeling even more broken. It wasn't just Daniel anymore, Gaz. It was the realization that betrayal rarely belongs to one person. Sometimes silence becomes part of it. People convince themselves they're staying out of someone else's business. Gaz. But silence has consequences. And those consequences usually fall on the person who deserves it the least. That night, another unexpected message arrived. It wasn't from Daniel. It wasn't from Ethan. Gaz. It was from someone named Olivia. I didn't recognize the name. The message was short. I think we should meet. There's something you deserve to know. I stared at the screen. Who was Olivia? Gaz. How did she know me? After several minutes, I finally replied. Who are you? Her answer came almost immediately. I'm sorry. I didn't know about you until recently. My hands froze suddenly. Gaz. Everything became clear. She was her. The woman from the messages. We met the following afternoon. She looked nervous. Almost frightened. She wasn't what I expected. She wasn't smiling. Gaz. She wasn't arrogant. She looked guilty. The first thing she said surprised me. I'm sorry. I didn't answer. She continued. I believed Daniel when he said your relationship had already ended. Gaz. I searched her face. She seemed honest. I only found out the truth 2 weeks ago, and I ended things immediately. That wasn't the story I had imagined. She wasn't defending him. She wasn't blaming me. She was another person who had believed his lies. She reached into her bag. I brought something. She handed me a small notebook. Inside were printed screenshots, moss, dates, Gaz. Photos, everything. Not because she wanted revenge, because she wanted me to know the truth. He lied to both of us, she whispered. As I read through the pages, one message caught my attention. Gaz. Daniel had written, she trusts me completely. She'll never leave. I couldn't breathe, not because he had cheated. I already knew that. But because he had turned my greatest strength, my trust, Gaz, into his greatest advantage. Olivia looked at me with tears in her eyes. I wish I'd known sooner. So do I. She stood to leave. Before walking away, she stopped. You know what, Gaz? The biggest mistake he made wasn't lying. It was underestimating you. I didn't understand those words yet, but months later, I'd remember them. That evening, Gaz, I finally answered one of Daniel's calls. He sounded relieved. Thank God. I only have one question. Anything. I took a slow breath. Did you ever love me? Silence. Not 1 second. Several. Gaz. Long enough to tell me everything. Finally, he answered. Of course I did. Did not do. One small word, one painful difference. I quietly ended the call. No argument, no shouting, no tears. Just silence. Gaz. Because sometimes silence is the loudest answer of all. The next few days felt like a storm. Friends called, family members reached out. Some offered support, others offered advice. Forgive him, Gaz. People make mistakes. You've been together so long. I smiled politely, but inside I already knew something they didn't. This wasn't about one mistake. It was about hundreds of choices, every text, Gaz. Every lie, every excuse, every promise, every smile. Each one had been a decision, and decisions have consequences. Late one night, I opened my laptop and looked through old photos. Instead of crying, Gaz, I began deleting them. Not out of anger, out of acceptance. One by one, the vacations, the birthdays, the celebrations. Each click felt painful, but strangely, it also felt freeing, Gaz. Because I wasn't deleting my past, I was making room for my future. As midnight approached, my phone buzzed one last time. A single message from Daniel. Please, don't give up on us, Gaz. I looked at those words for a long time. Then I typed only one sentence. I already gave up on the lies. I pressed send, then I turned off my phone. For the first time in days, Gaz. The room became completely quiet. And in that silence, something unexpected happened. The pain was still there, the heartbreak was still real. But underneath it, a small spark had appeared. Gaz. Not revenge, not yet. Something stronger, determination. Because Daniel still believed my story had ended the night I walked away. He had no idea. It was only the beginning. Jazz. The woman who had trusted him with her whole heart was gone. And the woman rising from the broken pieces would become someone he never expected. People think healing begins the moment you leave. Jazz. It doesn't. Sometimes healing begins weeks later, sometimes months, and sometimes it starts the first morning you wake up and realize you survived another night. Jazz. That was where my comeback truly began. Not with confidence, not with success, not with revenge, but with simply getting out of bed. The first few weeks after leaving Daniel felt painfully empty. Jazz. Mia had offered me her guest room for as long as I needed, and every morning she made coffee before leaving for work. She never forced me to talk. She never told me to move on. Instead, Jazz, she would simply smile and ask one question. Did you eat today? At first, I didn't understand why that mattered. Then I realized heartbreak has a strange way of making you forget the smallest things. Jazz, you forget to eat. You forget to sleep. You forget to laugh, and if you're not careful, you begin to forget yourself. I avoided social media completely. Every smiling couple reminded me of promises. Jazz. Every engagement photo reminded me of dreams that no longer existed. One afternoon, I caught myself staring at my phone, wondering if Daniel had posted anything. I almost searched for his profile. Jazz. Almost, then I stopped. I quietly locked my phone and placed it on the table. That was the first battle I won, not against him. Jazz. Against the part of me that still wanted answers from someone who had already given me all the answers I needed. Some evenings were harder than others. The silence hurt. Jazz. I missed having someone to tell about my day. I missed hearing another voice in the apartment. I even missed the little arguments about what movie to watch. Heartbreak has a cruel habit. Jazz. It reminds you of the good moments before it reminds you why they ended. Whenever that happened, I opened the notebook Olivia had given me. Not because I enjoyed reading it. Jazz. Because it reminded me of reality. Mirror often edits the truth. It highlights the happy scenes and quietly hides the painful ones. I refused to let nostalgia become another lie. One Saturday morning, Jazz. Mia found me sitting on the balcony wrapped in a blanket. You've been out here for an hour. I couldn't sleep. She sat beside me. Can I ask you something? I nodded. Jazz. If Daniel walked through that door right now and promised to change, would you go back? The question stayed in the air. A month earlier, I might have hesitated. Now, I answered immediately. No, he smiled. Good, why? Because that means you're finally choosing yourself. Those words stayed with me all day. Choosing yourself. Jazz. I'd spent so much time trying to save a relationship that I had forgotten to protect the person inside it. A few days later, I returned to work. I expected everyone to notice something was wrong. Jazz. But life moved on as usual. Meetings, deadlines, dames, coffee breaks. At first, it felt strange. How could the world continue when mine had fallen apart? Then I realized something important. Jazz. Life doesn't wait for us to feel ready. It simply keeps moving. And eventually, we learn to move with it. During lunch, my manager, Sarah, called me into her office. I've noticed something. I forced a smile. I'm trying my best. I know. She leaned forward. That's not what I noticed. I looked confused. I noticed you've been solving problems faster than anyone on the team. I blinked. Jazz. I have. She nodded. When people go through difficult seasons, they sometimes discover strengths they never knew they had. Then she handed me a folder. We're opening a new department. Jazz. I looked at her. I'd like you to lead it. For a moment, I couldn't speak. Just weeks earlier, I had believed my life was ending. Now, a new door had quietly opened that evening. Jazz. I celebrated with Mia over takeout pizza. She raised her soda can. To new beginnings, I laughed. Even if they don't feel new yet, they will. She smiled. Just give yourself time, Jazz. It sounded simple, but healing isn't measured in days. It's measured in moments. The first genuine laugh, the first peaceful night's sleep, the first morning you stop checking your phone, Jazz. The first day you realize you didn't think about them for hours. Those tiny victories matter more than people realize. Instead of focusing on what I had lost, Jazz, I started asking a different question every morning. What can I build today? Some days the answer was small: finish a project, write a chapter of a book, cook dinner, take a walk. Other days, Jazz, it was bigger. Ploy for a leadership course, joining a public speaking workshop, start saving for my own apartment. Every small step reminded me that my future still belonged to me. One evening, Jazz, while cleaning Mia's kitchen, I caught my reflection in the window. For weeks, I had only seen someone who looked exhausted. This time, I noticed something different, Jazz. My shoulders were no longer slumped. My eyes looked steadier. The sadness hadn't disappeared, but neither had I. I smiled at my reflection. A small smile, but a real one, Jazz. It was the first smile that didn't feel forced. Around that time, Daniel stopped calling every day. Instead, the messages became less frequent. I miss you. Can we please talk, Jazz? I know I can fix this. Months earlier, those words would have shaken me. Now they felt strangely distant, not because I hated him, Jazz, because I had finally stopped waiting for him to become the person I needed. Some people apologize because they truly understand the damage they caused, Jazz. Others apologize because they're uncomfortable facing the consequences. I no longer needed to figure out which one Daniel was. His actions had already answered that question. One rainy afternoon, Jazz, I walked past the little cafe where we had first met. For a second, I considered crossing the street. The memory still hurt. Then I stopped, Jazz. Why should I avoid a place simply because someone else had changed its meaning? I walked inside. The same soft music played. The same smell of fresh coffee filled the room. I ordered a cinnamon roll, Jazz. The very one I had bought for Daniel on the night everything fell apart. This time, I bought it for myself. As I sat by the window, I realized something unexpected. The cafe hadn't betrayed me, Jazz. The city hadn't betrayed me. Love hadn't betrayed me. One person had. There was a difference. And understanding that difference allowed me to believe in life again. Weeks turned into months, Jazz. The promotion at work challenged me in ways I had never imagined. Long meetings, new responsibilities, big decisions. Instead of drowning in heartbreak, I poured my energy into becoming better, Jazz. Not to prove Daniel wrong, not to make him jealous, but because every achievement reminded me that my worth had never depended on someone else's loyalty. It had always belonged to me, Jazz. I had simply forgotten. One evening, Sarah stopped by my office after everyone else had left. You've changed. I smiled. I hope that's a good thing. It is. She looked around at the empty office. Jazz, you know what impresses me most? What? You never let pain become an excuse. I thought about that for a moment. The truth was, pain had almost become an excuse. An excuse to stay home, Jazz. An excuse to stop dreaming. An excuse to believe my best days were behind me. But every morning, I had chosen something different. Not happiness, not confidence. Just one more step forward, Jazz. Sometimes that's enough. As autumn arrived, I finally rented my own apartment. It wasn't large, it wasn't luxurious, but every piece of furniture was chosen by me, Jazz. Every picture on the wall reflected my story. Every corner represented a fresh start. On my first night there, I stood in the middle of the living room, surrounded by unopened boxes, Jazz. It reminded me of another apartment years earlier, the one Daniel and I had built together. For a brief moment, sadness returned. Then I noticed one important difference. Back then, Jazz, I believed someone else completed my future. Tonight, I realized I was fully capable of building one on my own. Before going to bed, I unpacked one final box, Jazz. Inside was the notebook Olivia had given me. I held it for a few seconds. Then I placed it on the highest shelf in the closet, not because I wanted to forget Jazz, because I no longer needed it to remember the truth. The truth was already part of me, and so was the lesson. Trust should never require blindness. Love should never require losing yourself, Jazz. And healing. Healing begins the moment you stop asking why someone hurt you and start asking how you're going to rebuild your own life. As I turned off the lights in my new apartment, Jazz, I felt something I hadn't experienced in a very long time. Peace, not perfect peace, not complete healing, but enough to know I was finally moving in the right direction. I had no idea that Jazz. Somewhere across the city, Daniel was beginning to realize what he had truly lost, and soon, our paths would cross again. But next time, he wouldn't meet the broken woman he left behind, Jazz. He would meet someone entirely different, someone he never expected.